very good morning and welcome to the program. The Voice is coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Medina Azaki. Today we shift gears to one of the most incredible and most record-breaking scholarship launch in Nigeria, and that is the Dangote Foundation launch of 100 billion for educational scholarship. Now, the scheme was launched by the Africa's richest man last week, Thursday, where the Dangote, Dangote said 1.3 million children will be, sponsored through the scholarship in the period of 10 years. He said the first phase will start in 2026, giving scholarship to about 45,000 beneficiaries, new beneficiaries. That's what he said. And then he said subsequently it will rise to 155,000 by the fourth year and remain stable for a decade. Now, the richest man is targeting a total of 1.3 million students across all the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Now, this intervention is what we'll be discussing with a professor of social linguistics as well as international relations. We'll be asking, what does this scholarship means to him, to Nigerians, and especially the vulnerable student, where this scholarship is targeted at? This and more after the break. Stay with us. All right, we'll be joined live by Professor Khalifa Dikwa, all the way from Kaduna. Prof, many thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
All right. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is a professor of social linguistics and international relations. He's also an educationist for many decades. Yes, Prof. I'm sure you have read the news, watched it on TV. The record-breaking 100 billion educational scholarship by the Dangote group. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. It means blackmailing the very government that ought to have made education free for all, because Nigeria can afford it. And perhaps I digress a little bit in order to anchor with what my predecessors said about France, a parasitic country. Those who are thinking of giving away our data tell us where France has ever developed any country among the countries.
Okay, Prof, I'll ask you that in the course of the question, in the course of the program. Sorry, maybe towards the end of the program, I'll do that. But let us focus on the 100 billion educational scholarship this morning. For now.
By who? By who?
By Dangote, of course.
Of course, Dangote. Dangote is a big name. Now, the family Dangote is no longer individualistic. It is an institution, just like the days of Abiola, of the blessed memory, who had put his own in the service of the people of Nigeria, the indigents, those who could not afford to go to school beyond primary and so on, because all along government kept saying education should be free and so on. It was not free. It was just a government that is being maneuvered by outside to create two classes. There is nothing like middle class classes of those who use the public funds in order to educate their own children all over the world. But those who should ought to have been educated alone are kept as if they are slaves in their own country. And therefore, Dangote has blackmailed, has actually exposed the weakness of the government, the corrupt tendencies of the government that calls itself a democratically elected government. It is not. Because when you are elected, you listen to the people. You bring in the welfare of the people, and in constitution you cannot even determine yourself being a government without protecting the people and their welfare.
Okay, when you say, Prof, when you say, I'm sorry. Okay, Well, let me jump in here. You said it's a blackmail. He's blackmailing the very government that is supposed to do the needful when education is concerned. Is this an attempt to take away the educational system completely from the federal government? Because I have not seen federal government spending 100 billion annually.
Not to draw the attention of the government that this little money, as somebody from his own money, giving it out to all the 774 local governments to indigent people to go to school, means that just to remind the government that this is its authority, right from local government, secondary and tertiary institutions. And therefore, government should go back and place premiums on the human beings rather than on materials. It cannot be above the human being. The people of Nigeria deserves better. It is not about just a revenue that a few people will just mismanage and we don't know where it goes. Talk less of other things. So many things, not this government alone. We have been having the same thing right from the day we returned to democracy in 1999. All along, foreign interests, foreign rascality being imposed on the people of this country. We are above, and Nigeria is bigger than any person, any group of people. Nigeria cannot. Nigeria is a country of intelligent people, smart people. You cannot enslave them. You cannot deceive them all the time. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now what with this, scholarship, what happens to the federal government NEL fund where they are giving out student loan. They are giving student loan for education to pay their tuition fees. Where does that stand? Does this make nonsense of that loan for student?
It doesn't matter. In the first place, NEL fund to take away their own rights, the rights of the children, of the youngsters to go to school was taken away in order, just like closing the door and giving them through the window. Thus, the resources belong to the people of this country, and education should be given, should be easy. And by so doing, the public institution, government is being now told again, reminded all the time that why are you not listening to ASU, for instance, to develop the infrastructure rather than blackmailing them about salary and so on. After all, they deserve better salaries than all the African countries because Nigeria is a #1 economy. And that infrastructure, those things that ASU is now talking about in Medina, we asked officials of ASU, we talked about it in 1992. My child that I had at that time is now married with children. We are still talking about developing infrastructure in terms of library and so on, classrooms, make it easy, access to books and so on. Those things are still hanging around, and government is playing gymnastics with the.
But Prof, let me ask you, why is it so difficult for government over the years to develop infrastructure as far as educational sector is concerned? Why is it so difficult?
It is difficult because they are not independent minded. They are being dictated from outside, that in order to kill the public sphere, to public institutions, education, healthcare, in order to hand it over to the private, from which they also get percentage. And the resources belong, any resources that have, be it oil, gold, and so on, belongs to the people. All those resources belong to the people of this country, with which you can create subsidies all over. Particularly, you start with education, which is the backbone of any development in the world. Education first, then talk about health, and then make sure people have access to food. Today, people are hungry, and any hungry man must be angry. Why? Because we have the resources. If we didn't have at all, that would have been a different scenario. Nigeria is a rich country. The people must not remain poor, and that this is the dictation of the colonial mindset that Africans should not enjoy their resources. And they are there. The food soldiers are in government. Government itself is the culprit. The people in government are the food soldiers, blackmailing, blocking Nigeria from having enough electricity, blocking Nigeria from having refineries to refine its products and get all those things, and being importing fuel from outside. Meanwhile, all the different products, petroleum products, are refined elsewhere, and we go and buy our own. What an insult! For how long do we continue? And these are the same people who are now sabotaging Dangote shamelessly.
Okay. And for some people, they will argue that rather than, pay scholarship with this money, 100 billion annually, why won't he use it to fix the, public schools? Because in the breakdown of, what they want to do with this money, there's nothing like infrastructure there. It's all about paying tuition fees and also training teachers. Wouldn't it have been better to say part of this fund should also help fix the infrastructure in public schools?
No, it's going practical, because it is not going to be practical, because if he starts with the infrastructure, sabotage is very easy, and government may even say he's trying to take over government, and that infrastructure may have to go through different hands in order. Those who are in government now today, they are very few, but they are so cunning in their structure, because as soon as we returned to democracy, it was dictated from outside that they had to dismantle the PTF. Everybody knows PTF was working. And all those things that PTF did, just 1% of the petroleum, they removed the PTF, did not replace it. And that even the same scholarship that people should have, the children should have to get educated and be proud of their own country, is taken away. Imagine a child of now 26 years of democracy. At that age, he was 6, for instance. When you added 32. The children of 32 years are hardly patriotic, because they do not know what their own government has done to them. They have not, successive government have not invested in their education. They see their parents paying for everything. Of what use to them to be patriotic? You call them Gen Zs and others. But you have to appreciate that government is in place. So the management of the resources for the entire population, not a few in government, or not about family and friends, Medina. That is the essence. We have not had the government that is serving the people itself. Democracy will fix this. We will fix this. That as soon as they are in office, they become something else. They become monsters, and start fighting the same people who made them who they are. Okay. It's unfortunate.
You did say that the government is being forced by a force outside. Who is this force that is forcing government to say kill the infrastructure in your schools, stop scholarship for children, and do all of that to harm your people and bring them backward? Who is this force? Who is this foreign force that is dictating to us?
Yes, the guys of Bretton Woods, they are the ones. And that they are the same who are now forcing government to take loans from IMF, World Bank, and pay with throat-cutting interest. So in order to enslave Nigeria at all, when Nigeria even does not need loans from them, they force them to take the loan, and eventually the loan doesn't come full, perhaps half, and then they share it along the line. And nobody talks about it. You cannot take the loan and not use it, apparently, and we call it everyone to see how it was spent. So it is being diverted to other means. And therefore, a free government, cannot be forced to take loans in order to be enslaved.
So why is the government always like to be enslaved? Why? Is it because it's not a free government?
A big country like Nigeria that cannot be overlooked by any country in the world is being fought. But if they allow Nigeria to be on its own, independent, with brave and courageous people in government, it means those who are out there in capitals in Washington, Paris, London, and so on may have to send their own people to come and work in Africa and Nigeria, rather than the way out, the other way out. They will want to break every public institutions and take away the brainy ones to go and work for them. So that you go there in search of a medical expertise, you meet the same Nigerians and Africans. When you go there for NASA, everywhere you go, you meet the same Africans, you meet the same Nigerians. But if they allow Nigeria to fix its basics, it means nobody will go and work there. They will all return to Nigeria. That is what they do not want. And you hardly see them on camera. They are behind the scene. They harass them. They intimidate them. They blackmail them with the little mistakes they did in their childhood. So imagine somebody did something 30 years, 40 years ago, and now they are blackmailing them. Some of them are blackmailing them with the little money that they hid with them somewhere. They say, we are going to expose you. If you refuse, we are going to take you to International Court of Justice to jail you. And so that is how they harass them behind the scene. Only those who are brave and courageous can say, okay, please take away whatever you feel it is my own, and you are hiding that I'm hiding, take away, but allow me to serve my country. If all of them on the cabinet, half of the cabinet, can decide that way, nothing will happen to them. After all, today we have alternatives. The world has alternatives. In the past, it was only the Western world. Today, the Eurasia is there. If you are talking about World Bank, IMF, you have development banks, you have BRICS entities who don't give loans with a throat-cutting interest. It is development directly. So the alternative is there.
But are Nigerian leaders ready for these alternatives? Are they ready for it? Or do they even want it in the first place?
Alternative. Nigeria does not have to follow either of the East or the Western world. Nigeria is independent and should be non-aligned, should be able to do business independently with individual countries on a win-win basis with respect, not the way the Western world has been doing to us. They don't respect us. They feel that we are in this world in order to accompany them to work. An alternative God has brought it. Those who led by China, Russia, and so on. Militarily, Russia has stood them. So they couldn't do anything against Russia. They all ganged behind Ukraine. They couldn't finish up with Russia. Economy, there is nothing. They cannot even go halfway of China. And so on. So alternatives are there. We only Nigeria and Africa should deal with countries that respect them and do this. We give and take, not the one-way road, one-way traffic should no longer be continued to do. If you cannot be brave and courageous to do it, get out of the power. Allow those who can do it. Get out as a minister. Get out. It is not the place for you. Allow those youngsters who are brave, who know what it takes to fix the basic infrastructure and to fix the economy for this country and for this continent. Get out.
Okay.
And allow people who are doing it to do it for us.
All right.
Thank you.
The chairman of Dangote, Aliko Dangote, said he described it as a strategic investment. And for us in the north, where we have over how many millions there, roaming the street and the out-of-school children. Will this in any way help us reduce the number? Because for a period of 10 years, only 1.3 million, vulnerable students will be educated through this scholarship. Will this help us in any way to reduce the number of out-of-school children?
Listen, let me take away the bandwagon of saying out of school. Not all of them. Some are street children, some are dropped out, and so on. Why? What happened? In the past, is under the native authorities, education was sponsored directly. As soon as with the so-called 1976, reforms under the Suki at that time, government took away, stopped the sponsorship in terms of education, collapsed in the native authority, and only considered what they call conventional conventional schools with teachers and students. Those who are studying Arabic and other subjects in any other languages were not considered as Nigerians. No pay for the teaching, nothing for scholarship or for to go to school. That was how it was destroyed, and parents could not afford to pay. And secondly, the education trap has not been there because it was wrong. They are following a wrong instruction that it was from God. It is not from God that if you are poor, you marry more. If you cannot handle one, and then the children, you cannot educate them well, manage with one, rather than marrying many wives and having children that you cannot even educate. It is wrong. It is not a religion. It is a misguidance. And therefore, there must be laws. If you keep a lot of children to women and then you tend to divorce them, it is you who should quit and leave the house for them. And then you must make sure you take care of their education. You don't, what the prophet wanted was people behind him who are in terms of quality-minded intellectuals, not illiterates, not vagabonds, not gangsters, who snatch everything. The way now in part of London there are many phone snatchers even in London. How things are deteriorating. How poverty is self-inflicted. Nigeria has nothing to do with poverty. When we get good governance, Nigeria is a place where Europeans, Americans will come and do work and eat. Okay. Legitimately.
All right. Now that we have, this 10 million, 20 million out of school children, some of them are dropouts, some of them are this and that. Now that we have, a danger right in our face, what do we do? How do we get this number reduced to the barest minimum?
One, we just sit down round the table or call of us at a conference to reform the educational system and say that something that will benefit the people of Nigeria. The same children that you said are not going to school, if you go to the east, you find the same children, especially boys, not going to school, always sent to look for money. The girls stop at commercial education and so on. They don't get, only a few get to the center, go to the cities and then get educated when they work and so on. The same thing in the West. The same thing. They are always analyzing what is obtainable in the cities. Nigerians all across the country, so many, over 70-80% are just doing, they're out of school, actually using English because English has been the lingua franca in the South. And that they feel they're so enmeshed in it that they feel English means education, means you are educated. In the north, Hausa is there, other languages are there. For instance, for us, the Kanuri and Arabic we speak. And if we don't speak English, it means they interpret as if we are not educated, which is wrong. Language is different from education. For instance, particularly English language and French language are colonial languages in it. There are so many brainwashing in it. For instance, even European countries that adopted their own languages are better off than those who use English and French. I will tell you, Germany, for instance, they use their own local languages. Imagine a few days ago, I heard a minister saying that English now dump the local language. It is not local, it is indigenous languages. It belongs to the people of this country. We can develop one. Meanwhile, English can keep for some time. The way others are saying Somali. In Somali, you have Somali, Kenya, you have Swahili, and you have English, pari passu. You have Hindu, they speak Hindi, and they still English is the second fiddle. Why not adopt our own? And you think we continue to be colonized mentally with the language? Those who are bombastic about English languages are actually gloating, and they are myopic in thinking, and that they can be limited in terms of psychology, like a film, like a book. When you stop at the end of the book, the brain cracking is not there, and therefore, can you compare the Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, Indians and so on who are adopting their own languages, for instance, they are not the same like Europeans.
Okay.
They are not. Only
right.
Germany that adopted this language. And you have Koreans, you have what call them Russians, even Iran, you have Turkey. All those people who use their own languages, they are proud, and that at the primary level they understand better and they feel part of it. But today with English, you think in your own language and you speak another language that does not have history for you and your background is different.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you are thinking the way to go is to incorporate indigenous languages, and that will help us reduce.
Indigenous language, yes, at the primary level.
Okay, and so that will help us reduce the out of school children. Is that what you are saying, if I get you correctly?
Yes, and make it free. Make it free and then bring back the concept of feeding. Just a little of feeding, or give them what we call them gifts. When the students perform, you can give them biscuit, you can give them little things and so on, in order to encourage them to do better. That is how you entice them. You woo them into going to classroom rather than staying away to Hawk and somewhere else. The South always takes for definition what obtains in Lagos. Nigeria is not Lagos, it's not Abuja, for goodness sake. These are cities. Go to the rural areas, go to Okomosho, go to Ogu. Go to other places. Go to Dikwa, for instance. You can go to Pukawa. You go to Sokoto. You have all these places, Tangaza, all these villages. You go there and then you study. You can give your definition from that level, at the village level, not the city level, please, which is elite.
Okay, and some will argue that it's a global world, it's a global village, so having multi-languages is the best way to go. But let me come back to the educational system itself. The Gen Z,
my problem, sorry, Madina,
yes.
My problem is not the language, English and so on. It is the message in between, the psychology.
Okay.
That is the enslavement, the mental enslavement. That is my problem. Allow people to know that they belong, they have history from Africa. Africa is a cradle of civilization. And it was Africa that created Europe, not the other way around.
Okay.
So therefore, the world should respect Africa. America did not exist at all when Africa was there, with administration in Kano, Borno, and Sokoto Caliphate, Bini, the Empire of Bini, and you have the Oni and so on, the Yoruba class and so on, and then Ghana and so on.
Prof, it's noted. Our historical, heritage is well noted. But let's come back to the educational system itself. The Gen Z population or generation, it's already frustrated with the educational system that we have, because people finish universities today, they spend 10 years looking for a job that they cannot secure, and that is why most people are going the other way. Why will I go to school if I will spend 6, 7, 10, 15 years of my life, and then only coming out to meet a market that does not have space for me? Shouldn't we, transform the educational system in such a way that it becomes technical, more of technical than, speaking English?
No, it is not about knocking out the non-technical. Both of them can be accommodated with fewer subjects. Bring together certain subjects, bring them together, give them elementary knowledge right from primary schools. Then they graduate into secondary school, then tertiary, you specify and so on. The concept is that's why I said let us reform the Nigerian governance system to work for the people as in the whole run, rather than to work for a few people, which is capitalistic tendencies, the wild capitalist system that only elevates a few people, a few elites at the expense of the majority. The Gen Zs they have every reason to get frustrated. If, as an elder, I'm frustrated. Why? Because we had free education. We had free books. We had free transport, even during vacation. We were given transport money to spend. We were given food. We were given everything free. Today, we in the 60s and those who are above 60s, 70s are breaking the system. are destroying the system that benefited them in the past. I feel very much ashamed of it because they are my mates. Although some of them are older. And again, I find insulting and shameful and stunning at the same time how somebody above 70 is still competing to steal billions. Billions.
That's the psychology. Prof, let me jump in here.
Are preparing for him. The Gen Zs are somewhere preparing for his death and then how to share the inheritance without wahala. That is how they say Gen Zs is shortcut without working. They see that politicians are stealing without even fighting, working without fixing the roads. For instance, anybody, commissioner or minister who diverts the money meant for construction and people get killed in accidents, is he not a killer? That is why China is so developed, because a certain amount of money is stolen or for bribe and so on. They kill the person, they take him to his locality and kill him. But with Nigeria, we don't have, there are very few. We have enough population of good people. Why allow a few people to destroy our own, including those we kill? Who sponsor the killing? Who are part of terrorism? Who sponsor the ransom thing? The ransom guy with the gun, giving the gun, killing people in the bush with billions, millions and billions taken to the city. And yet you say this money cannot be tracked up to the banks that take the money and launder them. Nobody knows. This is a cult.
Okay.
It is a
all right. Prof, what would be your advice to the Dangote Foundation as they roll out this scheme starting from next year, 2020? What would be your advice to them? Yeah.
Dangote, the way he's acting is like somebody who is preparing for his hereafter, even if he's not alive. Dangote is to serve. He's about to serve the people. He is not interested in power. He's not interested in just accumulating money for the sake of being a billionaire and so on, African billionaire and so on. It is about serving the people. Otherwise, many African countries wanted refineries fixed in their own countries. They said, okay, I will do that, but let me fix my own country for my own country. And then decided to fix. Frustration began from day one. And they never thought this cabal in government, they never thought the refineries, Dangote refinery will come on stage. But God will have it in order to save the people of this country. The refinery came and they started throwing words into it, monopoly and so on. You do business, you spend over 20 billion and they don't want you to protect your interest. Let them. Government gave registration, allowed other refineries to work. And then every refinery, every businessman can fix his own refinery. Do it to the standard. Dangote is the world standard. Why can't they do the same thing? Who stopped them from doing? But they are stealing the money. They take it abroad and keep them. When they are dead, the money remains there. So Dangote is not for him. To God who made me, I know he's a bit younger than me, but he's not working for his own. He's doing it for this country. And Nigerians are happier now today. He keeps bringing down the price of fuel. That ought to have been Nigeria, that ought to have done. Fuel affects everybody in this country. And fuel is a resource. And that resource belongs to the people of this country. Why should it be expensive?
Okay. Should we, Prof, we're running out of time. As Dangote is sponsoring people through scholarship directly, shouldn't we have also other billionaires, focusing on the infrastructure? Alakeja, the richest woman in Nigeria or Africa, if I will say, just a couple of weeks ago, also built and donated a 34 billion teaching hospital to the Osun State University. Shouldn't we have also billionaires that will focus on the infrastructure of the education of our schools?
That is why I said Dangote, I use the word blackmail just to strengthen the word of reminding government of its own responsibility. Yeah. Government should come back and do better and higher than Dangote as an individual. The same thing other rich people should do, but should compete with Dangote in terms of serving this country, serving the people of this country. Nobody stopped them from doing better than Dangote. But to stay away and then just help your locality, your own school, your own old school, your own university in Oshun and so on, without taking care of other states, even within the political zone in the southwest, is not being nationalistic. You cannot graduate into a nationalist without touching on all parts of this country. Because Nigeria is just like one body. What affects the fingernail will eventually affect the entire country. That is how security was allowed to fester, insecurity. And they allowed Boko Haram that was brought from outside. They thought it was going to affect a few people, perhaps us. They thought it was going to affect only us, the Kanuris. But eventually we were warning that it was a national plan that had been there in the cooler, waiting for the right leadership of the country to disturb Nigeria. Why Nigeria? Because Nigeria was going all over Africa and fix security of the people. Nigeria was all over, went to Burma, went to Congo, went to the recent one, they went to Sierra Leone, Liberia, restored peace. And now they said they have been planning to create problems for Nigeria so that Nigeria will only be thinking of its own self, so that Nigeria will not be able to fix its own and then keeps buying weapons from them. That is how they make their money.
Okay, and yes. Prof, just 1 minute to go. So, and I'll give it to you. Your take on the FIROS and the France deal, the MOU that was signed. That's the Federal Inland Revenue and France. The Nigerian government said it is all about capacity building. It is all about knowledge sharing. But let me have your take, just in 30 seconds, and then we'll wrap up.
Your 30 seconds. Can they tell us what African or European? Britain has given us anything like that in the British system? France, has it given us? I'm saying that since France, prior to independence and after independence, show us one country that France has colonized and then it has developed with water, even water to drink, electricity. But those countries, that Mali and so on, all of the countries that France colonized had their own natural resources underneath, but France takes 100% of it. Nobody, even themselves, anytime a president from those countries says, give us 10% of our own resources, you see a coup. Because they always station their own military there, military of invasion. And therefore, Nigeria has nothing to do with it. And I kept saying that Nigeria is not for sale. Nigeria is for Nigerians. It's not for others, not those who are outside. The centerpiece of our politics is Africa, not Europe. And therefore, this agreement must be truncated, stopped, and destroyed. I will tell Mr. President that Nigeria is not for sale. He was born into this country. And if those who are our forefathers did not keep Nigeria intact like this, he wouldn't have met it. It would have been sold, including the presidency would have been sold the way President Obasanjo attempted to sell everything. He sold, for instance, our own NITEL, in order to allow communications from outside, MTN and so on, now to fix their own prices the way they wanted, no competition. He sold Nigerian Airways, everything sold. All those things belong to the people of this country. And therefore, we don't have to give away our data for spying. Let them, if they continue to spy from outside the embassies and so on, but allow France to decide from within the government of Nigeria is wrong. It has never happened. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Thank you.
All right, Prof, I'd like to thank you very much for your very incisive contribution this morning. We do hope that we will have you live in the studio on the next coming weeks so that we can deliberate more on some of the pressing issues here in Nigeria. Professor Khalifa Dikwa, Professor of Social Linguistics and International Relations. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time.
You are welcome. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
And that's the show. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow. From me, Medina Azaki, and the whole team here, it's bye for now.